We already know the USDA is predicting a drop of about 3% in U.S. net farm income for 2016, including a slip of about 1% in receipts from crops. Corn and soybean prices suffered sizable drops from their peaks a few years ago, but both markets have also recently seen rallies. Farm program payments under the Farm Bill could have helped offset some losses as producers received payouts from the 2014 crop year towards the end of last year. To get an update on ARC and PLC, including what growers might be able to expect over the next cropping years, we talked Wednesday with Nebraska Extension Public Policy Specialist Brad Lubben.
Recognizing the new programs under this Farm Bill, the ARC program and the PLC program, the 2014 crop suffered from lower prices across the board. Going into it with large guarantees because of a recent average of strong prices, that ended up in more than $600 million of ARC payments in Nebraska for the 2014 crop that were paid late last year. We're looking ahead now at the 15 crop to be paid this year and the 16 crop that's in the ground now. We could see big payments again on these two crops as well.
Remind me what producers chose here in Nebraska.
Yeah. Overwhelmingly in Nebraska, producers chose ARC and ARC at the county level. That's overwhelming percentage of the corn and soybean acres. A smaller percentage of grain, sorghum, and wheat. In fact, a majority of wheat acres pushing for the price program instead. They had a little bit different price outlook when we signed up, but for corn and soybeans, it was overwhelmingly high prices translate into better revenue guarantees than the underlying price safety net, and ARC was the choice. Now we're changing the outlook a bit here, and that changes the perspective going forward.
Let's talk about the 2015 crop year,
right.
Then we'll give the overview of 5 years of the Farm Bill.
Right.
So producers later on this year, what might they be able to expect in terms
right.
of payments?
You know, we're looking at the 2015 crop, and this is still contingent upon final yield data by planted acre, and it's still contingent upon where we end up the marketing year. But at current projections, we're looking at payments that are very large again. They will be variable. They won't be exactly what we saw last year, county by county across the state, but we will see large ARC payments again, perhaps in to the tune of more than $600 million across the state again this year.
Do you want to explain more about how much they differ and why they differ across counties? Because that has been a topic,
that's right.
A bit of contention.
That's right. It's the ARC program differs across counties because it's specifically designed to, right? It's a revenue program tied to an average price. Everybody has the same national average price, so the variance doesn't happen there. But it's also tied to an average yield. And in the case of the county program, the ARC county program at the county level, that means counties with above average yield production have above average revenue results and therefore lower ARC payments, if any. Counties with below average performance in a given year will see larger payments. Well, some counties have had good years and production-wise, and thus they saw smaller payments. In some counties, the guarantee was low, perhaps because there was more than one bad year in the last 5. That's the 5 years that goes into the guarantee. One bad year gets kicked out in an Olympic average, but 2 bad years, they have to start counting. And some counties are sort of penalized with a bad history. Other counties, we do have concerns in places where there's not actual published yield data. Small minor crops or smaller counties or not enough observations, and then FSA has to go through a number of procedures to try and determine an appropriate yield number. There are issues all over, but fundamentally the program runs like it's supposed to run.
Give me an overview of the 5 years of the Farm Bill. So we talked about 2016 a little bit, but from here on out, where do we go with payments, potentially?
Right. Well, we think of the ARC program, and in 2014 crop, we saw more than $600 million. For 2015 and 2016, we could see similarly large ARC payments again across the state. But by 2017 and 2018, those payments go downhill very quickly. For corn, they are projected to disappear altogether as the price guarantee eventually falls pretty low. For grain sorghum, for soybeans, for wheat, ARC payments could hang on a little bit longer, but they too tend to go downhill over the long run. Think of ARC more as a shock absorber, not a safety net. It's not going to permanently protect you from a lower price or revenue level. It's going to help absorb the shock as you sort of adjust to it over time. The price loss coverage program, the PLC program, was a non-factor in 2014, but with lower prices, it's suddenly in the money, and we see potential payments in the out years here under the PLC program. Enough that we could sort of tip the scales the other way by the time we look at the next Farm Bill.
Yeah, this takes us through the end of the Farm Bill.
Right.
Is it too early to talk about what might happen in the next one?
Well, we're only beginning those discussions with a lot of perspective on how the current programs work as well as the situation. It's fair enough to say that there will clearly be a fight over funding in the next Farm Bill, but there also could be a substantial push to effectively keep the same set of programs in place, either by renewing policy or by simply extending current programs, because they give producers choices that producers asked for, and it's hard to imagine the budget to make any substantial changes or quote-unquote fixes to the program. That may mean producers will look ahead to 2019 with another decision on effectively the same tools.
You can find more information about farm programs by visiting farmbill.unl.edu.